Top 10 wide receivers in college football for 2022. Welcome to the Voice of College Football. We break it down with you each and every day. Best discussion, debate, and analysis. That's the aim, the goal, and the mission. Thanks to your contribution. Let's run it down. We started with 35 wide receivers. We whittled it down to 10. Yes, we cheated with 11. We've got a tie for 10th place between Raheem Jarrett of Maryland, and also we've got Marvin Mims of Oklahoma. Let's take a look at Marvin Mims. 37 catches 2 years ago, 32 this past season with 5 touchdowns. He was instrumental in the comeback against Texas in the Red River rivalry game, in which Texas led 28-7 at halftime. Mims, 5 catches, $136 and 2 touchdowns against the Horns, had 5 100-yard games last season. And the Big 12 championship game of 2020, he was instrumental there as well in a big game, in a close game. 1 score against Iowa State, 7 catches for 101 and 1 touchdowns. Marvin Mims at number 10, tied with Raheem Jarrett. Raheem Jarrett at Maryland caught 62 balls for over 800 yards and 5 touchdowns. The former 5-star has 4 career 100-yard games, his very best coming against Penn State with 144 yards 2 years ago. Keep this in mind. Dante Demas, the other Maryland speed threat, hurt in the 5th game of last season. Put Demas back into the lineup with Jarrett. Other weapons in the Maryland offense. It draws attention away from Jarrett. They have to cover somebody. Jarrett's going to get most of the attention, but they still have to respect Demas and others. Expect Raheem Jarrett to have a big season, especially if Talia Tagovailoa continues to improve. Moving on to number 9, we go to one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and therefore one of the best wide receivers in the country gets opportunities at Wake Forest. A.T. Perry, big season in 2021, 71 catches, almost 1,300 yards, and 15 touchdowns through the air. And he had 7 100-yard games, and Sam Hartman and he will try to duplicate another division championship with Wake Forest in 2022. At number 8, we go out to USC by way of Oklahoma and Mario Williams. 4-star, high 4-star wide receiver, hooked up with Caleb Williams, came on late during the 2021 campaign, 4th-rated wide receiver in the country coming into college football, 35 catches, 4 touchdowns. Those numbers should explode as Williams follows Williams, Caleb to USC. Pro Football Focus tells us that Mario Williams had the most catches in the country, 35 without a drop. Williams at number 8. At number 7, we go to Tennessee and a player that was little known and for good reason going into 2021, Cedric Tillman of the Vols. Prospered in Josh Heupel's offense, 2nd in the SEC in touchdown receptions with 12. He had 8 catches the previous 3 seasons at Tennessee. Then he exploded for 64 catches, almost 1,200 yards, and again, 12 touchdowns. Had a big 10-catch day against that vaunted Georgia defense for 200 yards with Hendon Hooker there at quarterback, 31 touchdown passes last season, and Josh Heupel scheming again here in 2022. It should be a big season for one Cedric Tillman at Tennessee. At number 6, we go to Alabama. Unusual to see the wide receiver core let down the Bama championship hopes last season once. Of course, John Mechie went down entering the playoff, and then Jamison Williams in the championship game, and the backups could not get it done. Ja'Cory Brooks and company. All right, enter one Jermaine Burton with championship experience with Georgia. This is the day and age of college football where we see one championship game participant go to another the next season. Jermaine Burton at Alabama now, going back to 2 catches in the national championship game. He had 8 catches for $197 in his biggest game against Mississippi State with JT Daniels throwing the football there in 2020. 26 catches for Jermaine Burton. He should explode with Bryce Young at quarterback in 2022. On to the top 5 in college football at wide receiver. Josh Downs of North Carolina will be catching his passes from somebody other than Sam Howell for the first time in his career as the quarterback battle wages in Chapel Hill. Downs broke onto the scene in the Orange Bowl the previous year, 2020, when Daz Newsome and De'Ami Brown opted out. He had a huge day against Texas A&M, 4 catches, 91 yards, and 2 touchdowns in a near upset win, and then had a big season last year. The highlights: 8 catches for 203 and 2 touchdowns against Virginia in a scoring fest, and then 10 catches for $142 against a very good Notre Dame defense. All told, 101 catches, over 1,300 yards, and 8 touchdowns for one Josh Downs, the 5th-rated wide receiver, according to the Voice of College Football, entering 2022. At number 4, we go to Texas. And my goodness, Texas is assembling one of the best wide receiver corps in the country. On paper, the best who's already been proven. By way of Michigan, Xavier Worthy looked like he was going to play for the Wolverines, but chose Texas. 62 catches for 981 and 12 touchdowns in receiving passes from Hudson Card and Casey Thompson. He may be looking to Quinn Ewers here in 2022. His biggest day came against Oklahoma as the Longhorns put up a 48 spot in a near upset win. 9 catches for 262 against Oklahoma and 2 touchdowns. Xavier Worthy with 4 100-yard games, and he's the 4th best wide receiver in college football, according to us here at the Voice of College Football. At number 3, we go to LSU and Kayshon Boutte. Kayshon Boutte doesn't know who his quarterback is going to be here in 2022. A 3-man battle entering August between Garrett Nussmeier, the unexpected, but also the 2 combatants, Jaden Daniels and Miles Brennan. Boutte caught 38 passes and 9 touchdowns, but he only played 6 games this past season. His big day against UCLA in the opener out at the Rose Bowl, 9 catches for 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns make it, and $148. Kayshon Boutte is one of the best in the business. Just watch him play. He hopes to have stability and productivity at quarterback to help him out. Of course, when we talk wide receiver, we're talking about by far the most dependent position on the field. So we all marvel at the freakish athletes and the game-changing plays and just the most exciting plays in football, mostly turned in by wide receivers, many would argue, but they're the most dependent guys on the field. They need an offensive line to block so the quarterback can throw. They need a quarterback who can deliver. At number 2, Jordan Addison had just that in 2021. Then did Addison make Kenny Pickett, or did Kenny Pickett make Jordan Addison? Well, I think they're both pretty exceptional players. Kenny Pickett, of course, parlayed his 40-plus touchdowns into a first-round pick, the only quarterback taken in this year's NFL draft in the very first round. Jordan Addison, of course, exploded as the top-rated receiver in college football, as voted on by the Biletnikoff Award voters. Now he goes to USC and Caleb Williams. Jordan Addison should be a star in Southern California. We've got him rated as the 2nd best wide receiver in college football. And at number 1, we go to Columbus, where Ohio State has taken over from Oklahoma and definitely Alabama here, at least temporarily, as wide receiver U. Jackson Smith-Njigba was remarkable last year. Consider Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson, of course, were 2 of the top 12 selected players in the NFL draft. When they all sat down together with Kirk Herbstreit, they told, meaning Wilson and Olave, who's the guy? Who's the guy with the special abilities, the special skills? It's this guy, JSN. 95 catches, over 1,600 yards, and 9 touchdowns. Check out the Rose Bowl if you haven't, college football fans. The Nebraska game as well. The Buckeyes would have been losers in both games without Jackson Smith-Njigba. And, of course, he did it in the Rose Bowl without Olave and Wilson. He was the featured player and came through with not just Rose Bowl records, but all-time bowl records. 347 yards receiving. Jackson Smith-Njigba is the best receiver in college football entering 2022. Our thoughts in evaluating 35 wide receivers here at the Voice of College Football. Please hit the like button. Subscribe right here at the Voice of College Football. Hit that bell for the notifications to know when we go live, because we want to hear from you during our call-in shows right here at the Voice of College Football.